Hey everyone, I was not planning on making another video on this topic, but Melanie Martinez and Timothy Heller, I want to talk about my theory on what I think really happened between them as friends. And this is based on everything that I've learned and just, my knowledge, my own instincts and impressions. And I want to clarify, this isn't me trying to tell anyone what to think or what to believe. I just want your thoughts on my theory. And I think it would also help just to give a better full picture of what happened. I know I'm not the only person to do this. There are other people who've made videos with like pictures and like 2-hour videos and like the full story and all that. I want this to be more brief and digestible. And I don't want it to feel either like I'm being insensitive to the topic, because I know that abuse and abusive relationships and topics like rape and sexual assault and anything like that are very serious. To me, if I were to make a video addressing those topics, which I have in the past, if you look at my channel and my other channel, I address abuse and all sorts of different dynamics in relationships. I've always talked about stuff like that. And I genuinely think about it from a perspective about healing and what people actually need to know. A lot of it is based on psychology and just my own experience. I always try to teach based on my own experience, because I think that that's where you get the best information from, is when someone's actually walked the walk and they know what it's like. They're going through it. They've been through it. So that is, and if I'm ever unsure of something, I know that I'm not a licensed like therapist or psychologist, which is again why I don't understand why some people in my last video, I got some negative comments. People were taking me way too seriously. This isn't like an official news source channel. You don't have to be yelling at me. I had people tell me that I had a parasocial relationship with Melanie Martinez, and for those who don't know, parasocial means like one-sided. I feel like they had a parasocial hate relationship with me, because I could just choose to ignore my comment section. That's my prerogative. This is my YouTube channel. I can post whatever I want. They feel like because I posted it to the public, it's theirs to criticize and attack. But the truth is, I don't have to be affected by that. I could literally just post whatever I want on my YouTube channel. You can choose whether or not you want to watch it. And if you want to come at me in the comment section, talking directly to me, addressing me, and saying negative things about me, go right ahead. I don't have to read it. I don't have to interact or engage. But I do sometimes, just out of curiosity and just because I like having arguments. I like, responding to people. But I try to keep my arguments brief. I try not to go too deep into it, because there's no reason to waste that much of my time or energy on someone who has no empathy or compassion or consideration for me. They're just thinking of me as like a punching bag, essentially, that they can just, they can just use me as like, this person's so uneducated and so insensitive. I'm gonna tear him a new one. Come on, don't do that. I'm a human being, and you don't know me, so I'm not gonna let you affect me. You do whatever you want. It's your prerogative to leave negative comments, my prerogative to not read them. And if I do, it's just because I'm curious to see how it'll go, not because I feel obligated to. So anyway, where did I leave off? Oh yeah, people tried to say that, you have a parasocial relationship with Melanie. I want to be clear. I'm not doing this because I want to get people supporting Melanie or supporting Timothy or anything. When I make this video, it isn't about addressing the concept of sexual abuse or anything like that at all. I'm literally just talking about these two people and what happened between them. So the only reason that I think people would get offended and say that I'm saying insensitive things about the topic are, A, they take me too seriously and don't realize this is just like a one-take thing where I'm just sharing my unfiltered thoughts, and B, they don't understand that this is just situational and I'm not giving general advice on topics like this. I think it's just that they believe Timothy. I think if they actually considered that Melanie could be telling the truth about not raping Timothy, they probably wouldn't be bothering to leave any kind of negative comment on this channel. And I'd bet on that, I think that the root of it, and they won't want to admit it, I've had a couple of people argue and say, oh, well, no, even if Melanie was telling the truth, what you said is still insensitive. I I still think you wouldn't have left any kind of comment or negative comment at all if you didn't believe Timothy. Clearly, the root of the issue is that you believe Timothy. There's no getting around that. So, like I said, not a professional. This is just my opinion. And I do have a connection to Melanie, so it's a little more of an educated opinion, but it's still just a person's opinion. So relax. You don't have to leave hate comments. It's not going to benefit anybody. And you also, if you genuinely cared about me, right? If you think that I need to be educated, which is a kind of arrogant stance to take in the first place, that you need to educate me on how to be more ethical, and then you're going to do it by attacking me instead of saying, you might want to try this instead. You're going to say, you're so stupid for not trying this. Like, what kind of an approach is that, first of all? But, not only does it presume that you're more ethical than me and that you have to educate me on how to be ethical, but if you actually cared about me as a person and, if I need my morals checked, go check out my other videos and see if you agree with what I'm saying, because maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe it's just that you didn't like what I was saying in this particular video. But the problem is these people who leave hate comments, they don't care about you. They don't care about bettering you. They don't care about protecting people from you and your harmful information in this video. Because that's the narrative, they're saying like, oh, well, what you're saying is so damaging and so harmful, and people who watch this are gonna take away negative things from it. I guarantee you that's not the case. People who have their opinions on sexual abuse and stuff like that, their opinions are going to remain the same before and after this video, and the other one too. The only thing that might change is what they think about that specific situation between those two people. And if they say stupid and sensitive shit, it's not because they learned it from me. It's coincidental. You can't blame me for that. So basically, calm your tits. It's the only thing I can say to those people, if the same people are watching this video. I have no idea if this is going to get any attention. I hope it does, because I love when I get comments and views. It kind of bums me out when I make videos and nobody watches them, but maybe it's just because I don't cover trendy topics enough, and, every time I do, I seem to get attention, so I should do that more often. But, whatever. It's not important. I'm going to just get into the video. Sorry for a 7-minute intro. Let's, I'll put a link in the description, say that the video starts at like 7:35 or something. Okay, so let's just get right into this. What happened between Melanie and Timothy? So, first of all, I have a connection to Melanie, and the connection that I have was actually mentioned in one of Timothy's statements. She mentioned that there was a point where Melanie tried to text her and tried to refer her to a healer named Raven, and Timothy was really offended by this, and I guess the timing of it was not good. Even Raven agreed with that, because I sent that article to Raven, and she didn't like that her name was brought into it, because she really has nothing to do with it. But she agreed that was a bad time for Melanie to bring her up. But I understand why Timothy was offended by that. My only point is, I've known Raven for 7 years, and I just talked to her yesterday, actually. She's a wonderful person. She's always super helpful and generous, and I've learned a lot from her. And I understand why Melanie goes to her, why Melanie likes her, and they still see each other. And I even asked her, I said, do you still talk to Melanie? And she said, we haven't talked, she hasn't reached out to me in a while, but she knows I'm here. And I said, well, she just put out a new album, or I don't know, this was right around March 2023 when her third album came out. And then apparently Raven sent her a congratulatory text, and then Melanie decided to reach out to her, and they started talking again. So as far as I know, they're still in contact. And they definitely were around the time that all of this happened. So this was at the end of 2017. I had met Raven earlier that year. I met her in June 2017. And in December, I think it was December, it was right toward the end of the year, all of a sudden this Melanie's name starts trending all over Twitter. And this woman, Timothy Heller, posted a very detailed 4-page story about a night that took place between her and Melanie, where apparently she believes that Melanie raped her. And she detailed what happened, and based on what she described, that is what it sounds like. for sure. But unfortunately, I didn't know what to think. Initially, I was freaked out and I thought, oh my God, is this true? And I immediately thought of another friend of Melanie's who people were accusing of being a pedophile, which turned out to not be accurate either way. But I thought, oh no, it's all coming together. And then I started thinking about all of her, her themes and imagery with the crybaby stuff. And I was like, and I got so creeped out. But then I was like, wait a minute. Like, can I even trust Raven? Because Raven knows Melanie really well. And I know Raven pretty well by this point. I had just been talking to her more often toward the end of the year on top of it. So it was really just like the timing was insane. So I immediately texted Raven and I was like, what am I supposed to think? And she was like, I'm not gonna, I can't give you too much information, but it's not what it looks like. And I was like, okay, shit. So I didn't know what to do with that. And then eventually Raven's name came up in one of the articles. Timothy kept doing interviews. She kept talking about it in more detail. And Melanie's statement was so weird. This is how Melanie worded it. She said, I'm horrified, and this is paraphrasing, I don't remember her exact wording. She said, I'm horrified and saddened by the statements and story told tonight by Timothy Heller, yada, yada, yada. We were friends, but we parted ways, and although we parted ways, I'm sending her love and light always, and she never said no that night, what we chose to do together. So, because she said she never said no to what we chose to do together, instead of focusing on the what we chose to do together part, people only focused on the she never said no. The reason that I think Melanie said she never said no is because Timothy, in her story, very explicitly stated that she used the word no multiple times. And Melanie was saying that is a straight up lie. That did not happen. Which should be proof that there was some dishonesty on Timothy's part. But instead, people just took that as an admission of guilt, and everyone started lecturing her. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the lecturing, the hate, people started saying, there's no doesn't mean yes. The absence of a no is not the presence of a yes, and all of this stuff. That to me is common sense because I'm the kind of person who I literally cannot enjoy myself if I think it's at someone else's expense. Even outside the context of sex, if I think someone is having a bad time while I'm having a good time, or if it's because I'm having a good time that they're having a bad time, I can't enjoy myself. I stop whatever I'm doing and I check in with the other person. So, even if I'm playing a video game and somebody else wanted to do something else with me, I can't have fun playing the game knowing someone is sitting there wanting to do something else. And the reason that they can't is because of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way that I'm wired. But, and I also feel like a lot of people know that. The whole, the absence of a no. I feel like that rhetoric has been around for a while, and most people have heard that. It's just that rapists don't care. They don't see themselves as rapists. You'll never hear a rapist refer to themselves as a rapist. They never think of what happened as rape. They will always find another way to work it out in their heads. And this is true for murderers, pedophiles, all sorts of creepy people. There will be people who have a ton of child porn on their hard drive, and they don't think they're pedophiles. There will be people who have killed people, and they don't think they're murderers. It's like, it's unbelievable. You would not believe the kind of stuff people can lie to themselves about because they don't want to think negative things about themselves, so they won't do it. But doesn't make it less true. So, I feel like people's reaction to that was not helpful because, it was first of all very much jumping to conclusions and being angry right away. But, and I won't deny, that was Melanie's fault. She should have worded it better. There's no getting around that she should have worded it better. But people need to learn how to curb their reactions because people get very angry and they just lunge at people. And it's not helpful. It doesn't accomplish anything. No one is educated by you lecturing them as if you're intellectually and morally superior. A lecture doesn't educate. It just makes someone feel like they're being attacked. And, when people are attacked, they have a right to defend themselves. So, regardless of context, I don't need to know why that person is jumping on you. All I need to know is you're about to be attacked by someone, and I'm going to have to pull you out of the way, and then worry about why they wanted to jump on you. You know what I mean? Like, that's, you don't ever want to be the aggressor. So check yourself if you're taking that route and you're attacking people and saying, no doesn't mean yes, and just all that stuff. Because I know you think you're educating them, but when you see everyone else saying the same thing, believe me, the celebrity you're saying it to sees the comments, is aware, you're not helping, you're just maybe making yourself feel virtuous a little bit. It's a little bit of virtue signaling. It is what it is. But anyway, let's continue with the story. So then Melanie came out with another statement and said, I would never be intimate with someone without their absolute consent. I really appreciate my fans going through and actually taking this seriously and looking at all the pictures and noticing the inconsistencies which reveal her false statements. Now, this again is the same thing she tried to say the first time, that Timothy made false statements. It's not that Timothy had a different interpretation of what happened that night. It's that Timothy intentionally lied. Timothy intentionally said something that she knew was not true. And Timothy even, she practically admitted this. Not really, but in her newest statement, in her video that's going viral right now, she said that the no was a little more ambiguous. She was saying something like, and it just gave me the impression that maybe Melanie just doesn't understand consent, because I definitely implied no, or however she worded it. She kind of changed. Her original statement was, I said no multiple times. And in the new statement, she's like, she should have known that I didn't want to do it. I implied no, so she kind of changed her story a little bit. And I think when she made this new statement, she was really banking on everybody forgetting a lot of the reasons they didn't believe her in the first place. Because when I listened to that, and I listened to it twice in full, everything she said was very cryptic and vague. And I think that she was just hoping that it had been long enough that people would be kind of foggy on the details of the whole situation, and they would just take her word for it. And she framed it in a way that made her sound like the victim. And I think she did a really good job of that. So, but the problem is she literally brought nothing new to the table. She just got people angry at Melanie for the same reasons they were years ago, and literally provided nothing new, no new evidence, nothing, just a little pity party. And what's ironic is she said, leave me alone, but also I want people to believe me. Well, I'm sorry, but if you want people to believe you, they're not going to be leaving you alone. They're going to be poking and prodding at your life and trying to figure out what happened to decide if they do believe you. So you either want people to believe you or you want people to leave you alone. You can't ask for both. And you were being left alone. You were bullied off the internet, unfortunately. I think that's sad and that shouldn't have happened, but it did happen and you were being left alone. So unless you're planning on coming back to the internet and having an online presence with fame, what reason do you have to come back and post this story? Clearly, it's not that you want to be left alone. Clearly, you want people to believe you. That's your real goal. That's your real intention. And why do you want people to believe you? Because you want positive attention again. I don't know what other conclusion to draw. Because otherwise she could just move on with her life. Not everybody has to have an internet presence. You can just exist and go about your day-to-day life and have a life. And you can be fine. But let's get down to the psychology of Timothy Heller, because that's really what I want to talk about in this video. And I don't want to spend too much time. I know this is already kind of long, but I want to just tell you what I think really happened. So Timothy, in my opinion, and I've watched her, I've listened to her talk. I'm not coming at this from a place of just, prejudice or judgment or bias. I'm not biased toward Melanie. Like I said, when the original statements came out, I was perfectly willing to believe that it was true. It took me a second, but then once I thought about it, I was like, this doesn't add up. And then I started seeing all the inconsistencies, and I started really looking at Timothy. I've always been very good at reading people. Most of the time, when allegations come out about someone, regardless of gender or age or how closely I followed them, I usually can see it. I'm like, okay, yeah, this actually doesn't really contradict the impression that I had of them, just based on their behavior, their energy. And there are a lot of people, like I could give you some examples, like James Charles, never really got a huge, I never really liked Ariana Grande that much. These people that just kind of to me seemed like immature or shallow to some degree. And then all of a sudden they're like, this guy is going around messaging other straight guys and trying to get with them, and or Ariana Grande is sleeping with a married man or something, whatever, just being a homewrecker and like break up with your girlfriend, I'm bored, right? She literally has a song titled that. None of this stuff surprises me. I'm like, yeah, I could see that. Um, but every now and then there's someone who's accused of something, and I'm like, it doesn't feel right. It contradicts the impression I had of them, and that is very rare because I'm very good at getting impressions of people. So most of the time in that case, the allegations are usually proven to be false to some degree, or just misconstrued, taken out of context, whatever the case might be. And I'm able to trust myself and be like, okay, so I could trust my initial impression of them. I was right the whole time. That's usually the case. I liked Melanie. I felt like I could relate to her. She and I have a similar way of thinking, both like have social anxiety. We both have the same healer. I don't talk to Raven constantly, but mainly just because I can't afford it. But that's my business, not important. But Raven even invited me to text her. I don't have to only contact her when I want a session. She sees me as a friend. I do too. I just forget to text people. It's again not important. I just wanted to clarify that. Because like I said, I've known her for 7 years. She's known me since I was 15. And we both just like each other. But I really don't know why I'm explaining this. Like I said, I have anxiety. I sometimes over-explain, and I could see this watching Melanie's interviews, listening to her music. I could feel it. I could just, I could feel that we had a similar way of thinking about the world and a similar kind of personality. So I resonated with her music, and I liked her as a person, and I never got the impression that she was capable of something that would take such a lack of empathy, such a complete lack of consideration for another person. I cannot picture her doing that. It didn't make any sense. And, most of the time when I find something like that out about someone, I actually can picture it. It's like, okay, yeah, I could see them doing this. Or it's like I could see them doing something similar but not quite, so maybe it's a little, not a little distorted, but generally I'm able to get an accurate impression of someone. So I used this to try to get an accurate impression of Timothy. And again, it's unbiased. It's not like I was trying to frame her in a negative way. I was only looking for the truth. And the impression that I got is that she seems like a very, codependent type of person. And I know that I forgot what some of the details are, but I know she has like borderline personality disorder. She's got some stuff, but what I was seeing was this sense of like I can't do it on my own. I need somebody to help me, and a little bit of a clinginess. And this is evident in the way that she interacts with people. She depends on approval from the internet. Why else would she be back right now? She just she's kind of gave me the impression that she seemed like she needs other people to do things. And that kind of energy is very off-putting. If you have someone around you who's like, feeling like they're kind of helpless without you, you might like them, but then that eventually might feel like you're like a leech, someone's trying to suck something out of you, and you're like, get off me. And no one wants that. So listen to the lyrics of Melanie Martinez's song Piggyback. This was her final statement regarding the situation, and Raven confirmed that for me. I said, is she going to talk about this again? She goes, no. The song is the last one. She also told me that Melanie wrote it in 1 week, which is kind of insane because it sounds like a fully produced song, but just, it's her statement. It's her thoughts. I know some people think of it as like a single. I even had a friend recently refer to it as a comeback single, and I was like, no. It was a statement in the form of a song, which is why she didn't release it on streaming or anything. She just posted it on SoundCloud. It was meant to just be like another Twitter statement where she just wrote something out and posted it. The only difference was she sang this one because that's how she prefers to communicate. She isn't good at public speaking. She isn't really the best with that in general, but she felt like she could articulate it better in a song. So that's what she did. And if you listen to the lyrics, she tells you everything you need to know. She said, I tried to help you do your shit, encouraged you to work on it, was a good friend, and you used that to your advantage. Melanie felt betrayed by this. It's very clear that she felt like what happened was disappointing to her, and she was like, "Come on, this is really, this is sad that you did this, and I'm hurt by it, and I'm angry." Um, and like even when she goes, "Now you're trying to kill my name for some fame. What is this? What is this?" Like she's like, "What is happening? What are you doing?" There was genuine shock on her part, and I could feel that it was genuine. This was not performative. Melanie has no track record regarding doing things just for attention or just to rile people up or get people angry. Everything she does is to try and make people feel better and bring light into the world. And if you actually research her, that is consistent. You know, there's not going to be anything where it's like, well, what about this? I've heard people say that she's like a pedophile too. I don't know where that came from. People are like saying she was like sexualizing babies or something like that, but that's completely unfounded. Um, people just make shit up and people just believe shit. People will literally bite on anything if it gives them someone somewhere to direct their hatred. I'm convinced. Because I even receive hatred, and I'm not even like a big YouTuber. Who am I? Like, why waste any energy leaving a negative comment on my channel? It's ridiculous. Um, but people do. So there's a lot of pent up hatred that they just need to get out. So don't believe everything you hear. People will just make shit up. I know it's easy to hear something and be like, "Oh my God, is this true?" But if it doesn't sound right, if it doesn't make sense, it probably is bullshit. You'd be surprised how easy it is to fake things. There have been faked screenshots on both ends. People tried to fake a confession from Timothy. People tried to fake evidence on all sides of this, but the evidence that I'm using and thinking about is straight out of Timothy's mouth. I watched her give interviews, I watched her speak on this situation, and the impression that I got from her was that her priorities were the way people viewed her. She cared a lot about how she was seen and being liked, and you could feel her anxiety because she was nervous. She could tell that people weren't liking her, and that was making her, you could feel the lack of confidence in her speaking. And I feel bad for her because I do understand that. But she went about it in such a dangerous way. When you come out and you take a big name like Melanie Martinez that's only gotten bigger since then, and you say, "This person raped me," you use the word rape, you are going to attract a lot of attention. And it's going to be both positive and negative, and you have to be aware of that and prepared for that. She could have just detailed what happened and said, "And then this happened, and then that's that." But she named the person who did it, and she used the word rape. That was very intentional. Her goal was to get attention. She wanted attention from people who know Melanie Martinez's name. That's why she used it. Now, you could say, alternatively, that she used the name because she didn't want to see someone who was dangerous and abusive getting success. Like in the case of Kesha and Dr. Luke, you could say. You can understand why she would have made that public, because what she was essentially saying is, this is a dangerous man, and this is what he did to me, and you should look out for him. It was sort of a warning, and also an attempt to get some justice. But with Timothy, it felt different. I did mention in my last video, apparently, I don't even remember saying this, but apparently I mentioned that Timothy is older than Melanie. And I didn't mention this as a way to say that means that there couldn't have been rape because a younger person can't rape an older person. I never said that, even though people in my comments tried to interpret it that way. Like I said, people will bite on anything if they think it gives them a justification for being hateful. I never said that. I don't know why anyone would think that. Obviously, anybody can assault, abuse, rape, literally anyone of any age. A kid could even rape an adult under the right circumstances. If the adult was like tied down, and literally couldn't get away, that's still sexual assault. It's not like the adult was engaging in any way, but that situation is probably never going to happen. Just saying. Kids honestly, kids can be scary. I've seen kids do some crazy weird shit, especially in this day and age with the internet and all the stuff that they know, like way too young. Kids can be scary. My point is, that shouldn't be a surprise to people. Even that it can hypothetically happen or theoretically happen, that, you could imagine a kid putting an adult in a compromising situation, and it's not like the adult is making it easier or engaging in any way. Kids can be pretty sneaky and scary and powerful. Especially regarding like false accusations. Like if a kid wanted to, I'm getting way off the rails. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like I said, over explaining anxiety. I just want to wrap this up before I go back. A kid could like hypothetically just say, this guy assaulted me just because he's mad at him. Like maybe he doesn't like that guy. Maybe it's his mom's boyfriend or something, and he doesn't like him, so he's gonna make a false rape accusation. That happens. It has happened. It does happen. It's insane, but like the point is that kids can be scary, which means age does not mean anything. Older people can attack younger people. That happens a lot more commonly, but younger people can also attack older people. And the difference between Melanie and Timothy is like, what, 2, 3 years? It's hardly anything. So if I mentioned it, it was just as sort of like, and that's a thing. It wasn't an argument. It wasn't meant to change anybody's mind because literally anyone can rape anyone. It doesn't, and I think that's common sense. If there's anyone out there trying to say that Melanie could not have raped Timothy because Melanie is younger, that is an insane take. And there's nothing I can say that's going to change their minds if that's really what they believe. Because, clearly they're beyond logic at that point. But then the person who said that to me was trying to argue more and say, well, but, I just, I've seen it and I've seen a ton of people say that and use that as an excuse. It's like, really? You've really seen a lot? I haven't. I've done my research. I haven't seen people using that as a reason to not believe Timothy. So I don't know where you're looking, but okay. But anyway, just not not important. I get sidetracked very easily. I'm sorry. I don't like editing my videos because it takes too long. I'd have to listen to myself. None of that is fun. So let's just continue. And sorry I'm taking so long. Let's wrap this up if I can. Where was I? I was talking about what happened between them. Yeah, so of course it could have happened. I believe I could see it from both sides, but the idea that Timothy did it the way she did just doesn't make sense. So all the people trying to say, but if it were true, you can't say that this, and this. And I'm like, well, okay, but let's look at this situation though. It doesn't feel right. Something about it doesn't sit well with me. And be honest with yourself. Do you really think that someone who had been sexually assaulted would handle it the way she handled it? She did acknowledge, this is one thing she said, that she didn't think of it as assault until her friends, said something to her. My interpretation of that, honestly, is that I think that she got the idea maybe from her friends. Maybe her friends heard about this night between them, and maybe she wasn't even honest with them. Maybe she said something to them, and then they were like, that was sexual assault, that was rape, and she just clung to that. I think she just said, oh, okay. So I was raped? Are you sure? All right. And she took to Twitter, probably thought it over a little bit, but, took to Twitter and detailed this night. And I think there was a couple weeks in advance that she had she had posted on Twitter that she was going to tell this story. And she said that Melanie tried to contact her right after she posted that, and that Melanie said it was coincidental. She was like, I had a dream about you last night. Personally, I think that could go either way. Melanie could have been lying about having a dream and was contacting her because of what she posted on Twitter, but Melanie might have also had a dream. Personally, I believe in psychic abilities. I have had dreams. I had a dream about death the night before my boyfriend's mom randomly died. I've had all sorts of stuff like that happen. So I would not be surprised, especially since Melanie is into that kind of stuff and knows, like Raven, who's an intuitive healer, like that kind of thing is not something I would rule out, but I will grant you the possibility. It's a very weird coincidence. I even had a dream, and I know this is going to sound stupid, but I'm being dead serious. The day that Melanie announced her sophomore album, K through 12, I had a dream about it. I had a dream that she texted me the release date, and it was like May 15th or something. And it wasn't the release date of the album, but it was something about the album. And I was like, May 15th, I got to remember that date. And then I woke up and I looked at my phone and I'm like, wait a minute, that's today. And then I opened Instagram and posted like 20 minutes ago, there was the trailer for the first ever announcement of the album. And I was like, I was dead asleep. I had no way of knowing this was going to happen. What the hell? So that freaked me out. That was really weird. But just I can't control what goes on when I'm asleep. Don't judge me. Um, my point is sometimes, even if it's insanely coincidental and unbelievable, I have personal experience that I think that is a possibility. I wouldn't rule it out. But I'll grant you, maybe she lied. Maybe she did see what Timothy posted, and maybe she reached out to try and prevent her from doing it. I think if that was the case, I wish she would have told her the truth instead of coming up with a story about dreaming. Because, again, not a good idea, not a good approach. Because obviously, Timothy wasn't going to believe that, even if it was true. But maybe Melanie's just honest to a fault. Maybe she just didn't. She just thought, if I just tell the truth, even if it's, sounds stupid, people will believe me. Which is kind of funny because I think Timothy said the same thing. She said, if I just tell the truth, then that's all that matters. But I think that's what Melanie was doing. I think Melanie was just telling the truth and didn't do it in the most clear way. So, then a bunch of Melanie's ex-friends, who she had to cut off for various reasons, started coming out against her and saying, yeah, I could believe this. She was awful to me too, and just started saying shit about her. So Melanie felt a little attacked, which is why when she wrote Piggyback, she mentioned, I wished y'all all the best. She's referring to multiple people who were all like, coming out against her at the same time. But Timothy was the main one. And I think, when I picture them as friends, trying to, Melanie trying to help Timothy work on her music, and Timothy not really doing anything with it, clearly, because nothing was done while they were friends. It was not until they ended the friendship that Timothy even put out a single. But clearly that was something Timothy always wanted to do. Timothy was probably jealous of Melanie, because Melanie was really putting the work in and getting somewhere. And that was like right at the peak of her career. I think the night that happened, it was like right when she released her lead single from her debut album. So it was right around that time. That's like within that same week. And what happened, according to Timothy, this is Timothy's own words, they went to a thrift store and Timothy pointed to a game, and the game people found, Timothy didn't admit this, but people did their own research and found the game online, and guess what it's called? Valentine Lovers Kit. So Timothy said, hey, Melanie, let's buy this game called Valentine Lovers Kit and take it back to your house and not do anything sexual with it. I mean, come on. Like, so then she took a picture of Melanie wearing fuzzy handcuffs and a blindfold. Really makes Melanie look like the aggressor, right? And basically just, they both, I think, consensually just did whatever happened. And, I don't know. I don't remember what I said in my last video, if I'm being honest. But this is my version of, like, the full account of what I think took place. So then that happened. It didn't really mean very much to Melanie. Melanie was just like, yeah, sure, let's just have fun. Let's just do this. She was young. She was like 19 or 20 at the time. Just kind of exploring. Timothy was a couple years older. And Timothy was dressing like Melanie. This is what's weird. In the days, weeks, months leading up to and following this event, this supposedly super impactful event, Timothy was dressing like Melanie. There are multiple Instagram photos of Timothy trying to recreate Melanie's photos in a way that looks very weird and creepy and obsessive. Just fully dressed, full Melanie getup with like a teddy bear and stuff like that. A ton of those pictures where she's clearly trying to recreate Melanie's photos. Why? Why? Why would you do that with anyone? That's that's a little creepy. I gotta be honest, but she doesn't acknowledge that. There was one photo that was supposedly taken the day after it happened where Timothy had a wig, and this is not even one that I'm referring to, but people found that photo, and the date that it was posted was the date after the date on the picture Timothy showed of the night that it took place. So that's why people were saying, false dates and stuff, and it was confusing. So that's the reason that was relevant. I know in Timothy's new statement, she tried to gloss over the reason why dates might have mattered, but because Melanie admitted that something happened, so that should be enough for you to believe me. But then why didn't people believe you? Clearly there are a lot more reasons than what you're conveniently forgetting. So yeah, anyway, where are we? My brain is scrambled eggs lately. I say that in every video, I feel like. I don't even know how many times I've said that, but the past couple months I've just been I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing. Probably more than that. It's probably started in the pandemic. I should say the past 4 years. My brain has been scrambled eggs. Um, okay, so Melanie and Timothy, the night it happened, grading photos. Yeah, so when it ended, according to Timothy, there was some psychic involved. I don't think this was Raven, who told Melanie that excuse me, she would need to cut off some friends. And as someone who has seen psychics, and I got trained as a psychic medium last year, or the year before last, it was 2022. I took a 6-month course with someone that I'm friends with who has her own curriculum and teaches everybody how to be a psychic. If you're interested in that, it's pretty useful, because if you don't believe in psychic abilities, you're like, oh, no one can do that. Everyone can do that, and you're probably using it every day, whether you're aware of it or not. You could give someone a reading if you wanted to. You don't even really need training, but the training helps because then you actually know what you're doing. But technically, it's something anyone is capable of. You just have to actually give it a shot. So, my point is that I have heard psychics say stuff like, you probably have to cut off some friends. You're going to be, at this period in your life, you're going to be re-examining like who's actually there for you and who's just kind of not really putting anything back in the pot. They're just kind of taking from you. So you sometimes have to reevaluate your friend circle and say who's really here for me and who's just kind of leeching onto me. And I think Melanie had to go through that. And unfortunately, Timothy was in the category of someone she couldn't really trust. And given how obsessive she seemed to be, I'm sure there were some kind of unreciprocated feelings. I would not be surprised if Timothy had, like a crush on Melanie or something, because that would explain a lot. It would explain the lover's kit. It would explain the dressing like her. It would explain a lot of things. But it would also explain the bitterness of being rejected when Melanie basically said, I gotta go my own way. Good luck, but we have to end the friendship here. That could not have been easy to do, especially knowing the way Melanie is. But she did it. And, apparently she was right, because Timothy, not long after that, proved that she was not a good person for Melanie to have in her life. She just decided to try and completely sabotage her career. And it worked for a while. I still see people call Melanie a rapist. And of course, because people don't take anything seriously, felony Martinez, kind of like Trump saying the Kung Flu, like, yeah, serious deadly virus killing people. Let's just make it racist and make it about China and call it the Kung Flu. Serious crime committed. Let's call her Felony Martinez and make a pun out of her name. People are just so ridiculous. But, I saw a lot of that shit. Melanie had to turn the comments off on all her old videos. They're still off. Nothing before her K through 12 era has comments on it. So, that I think took her a while to recover from. At the time, Raven told me that they were seeing each other more frequently, like because of that. She obviously didn't share anything about what was being said, but she told me that, she was talking to Melanie a lot during the allegations, like when it was actually active. So she clearly was very, very affected by it, and it was overwhelming and scary. And, I can't imagine what that must be like, because I've had on a smaller scale people coming at me and attacking me, but it was so unfounded. And if I were a huge artist and it was on that large of a scale and it actually did have some substance to it, that would be horrible to go through. And Timothy knew that, So like I said, Melanie is consistently a good person regarding how she treats people, regarding what she tries to put into the world with her art. She tries to make the world a better place in whatever way she can. And if you actually look into her, that'll be pretty obvious. Why would someone want to take down that career? What is she doing? What is she hurting other people? Timothy hasn't claimed that she's hurting other people. Timothy hasn't said she's probably out there doing this to more people. She doesn't understand consent. Melanie clearly understands consent. And she has been posting about her political views a lot, very passionately on Instagram. That's not helpful to her career. It's helpful to not talk about politics. It's helpful to just post about your stuff and let everything be ignored. But she genuinely has integrity because she's posting about what she believes, posting a lot about Israel and Palestine, and, doesn't care if it's controversial. She's very active. And she hasn't even addressed the allegations yet. And maybe it's just because she doesn't care. Maybe she just doesn't think that her own reputation is as important as, what she believes in, which I can respect that. But I think eventually she's going to have to talk about it if the heat keeps getting turned up, because otherwise no one's going to even take her seriously. So that is still important, but I think that it's pretty clear where her priorities are. She's more concerned with a genocide than her own reputation. And why would you want to take someone like that down when you see that they're trying to put good in the world? Unless Timothy believes that she's genuinely not a good person, which I don't think she does. I think Timothy knows that Melanie is a good person. I think that's why she liked Melanie. But instead of taking matters into her own hands and building a career for herself, right? Think of how sad this would be. Imagine, let's just say, hypothetically, Timothy was telling 100% truth. Everything that she said in her story happened exactly how she said it happened. And then people believed her because she provided more evidence than she actually did. And people believed her and people started following her, and she became a big popular musician. And her single did really well and had all sorts of positive comments. How sad would it be that the only reason her single did well is because she was raped? Is that really what she wanted? I mean, either way, that's sad as hell. And that's definitely what she was hoping for, because she had her single pinned on her Twitter, and she started trying to promote a music video not long after and just really, pushing this thing. And what's so sad about that is that it would be a sad reason to get famous regardless of whether or not she was being honest in the allegations. But it just shows how little effort she's actually willing to put in to getting attention in an ethical way, where you're not, taking someone down in order to get attention, but you're just getting attention on your own. I would never try to take somebody down. I would never try to ruin someone's reputation. I'm not even trying to do that to Timothy. I don't think people should be attacking her or hating her. I think people should leave her alone. I would never try to incite hatred or violence in order to boost my own reputation. I would never compromise my integrity to boost my reputation. And she does not give me the impression that she's someone who would do that. She even mentioned that she did sex work for a little while, and I remember that she had an OnlyFans or something. And I'm not saying that everyone who does sex work is, I support it. I think it's something that people should be allowed to do. It's your body, it's your prerogative. But it doesn't help Timothy's case with the idea that she's willing to do whatever it takes to get attention. It just really kind of solidifies her image as an attention seeker. And that's really just so many reasons to think that. That's just one of many. But, it's just the whole image that I have of her is just really, really pitiful. I feel so bad for her. I wish that she'd believe in herself and try harder to do things her own way. Like Melanie said, she said, "I'm sending her love and light always." She meant that. She really does hope the best for everyone, even people who try to attack her. Which I think she mentioned that in her song Fire Drill. Even some, I don't remember the line, but it sounds familiar. Something about even those who hurt and betray me, I wish the best for everyone. Something like that. She's being serious, and I'm the same way, so I get it. I don't wish bad on anyone, but I sometimes can acknowledge when people are dangerous, like political figures, I won't name names, and the world would be safer without them in it. We'll just say, if Hitler was alive, I think you would understand. The world would be safer with Hitler dead, right? You could understand that. Certainly Jewish people would be safer with Hitler dead, if no one else, but, you get my point. It's not that I ever wish bad on anyone. It's that I just want to make the world safer for other people. So I can understand accusing someone of rape in order to protect other people from that person. However, with the sole purpose of just taking that person down, that's not something I would want to do. And it's clear that that's what Timothy wanted to do. It's clear in so many ways, in so many instances, that what she wants is people to like her and people to know she exists and to follow her to be famous. She wants fame. And she's willing to do whatever it takes to get it. She did fuck off and she left the internet for a long time, but she didn't have a choice. She was bullied off the internet, you know? And she knew, and I think this was actually kind of smart, that if she waited long enough, people would forget all of the details and the reasons that no one believed her in the first place. And she could come back and tell a vague version of the story that really paints her as a victim. But if you listen carefully to what she said, there are a lot of inconsistencies. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think. That's my full account of the story, what happened between Melanie and Timothy. This was a lot longer than I meant for it to be. I'm sorry for that, but you know, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm curious if you know something I don't, if you disagree, if you know something that disproves one of the things I said, whatever it might be. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you have a different theory of your own, not incompatible with my theory, but just alternate, you're like, well, I think this, or, you know, whatever, let me know. Just curious. And hopefully this video helps you gain perspective. If you were one of those people who's unsure, you're like, I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I had a person in my comments on my last video say, I have a concert to see Melanie in October. I don't want to support a rapist. I'm not sure if I should go. And I tried to assure this person that, you know, Melanie is not a bad person. And, you know, I just have never seen any evidence of that. So you can go, you can have fun at the concert. Everything will be okay. So that's, you know, that's what I hope this video helps with. I hope that if your takeaway from this video is anything, it's that no one deserves hate. It is true that the only two people who actually know what happened between them that night are Melanie and Timothy. But it's also very clear that they have different accounts of what happened. And even though Melanie isn't the best at public speaking, she was still consistent if you actually look at her statements. Timothy tried to say that Melanie had inconsistencies. Timothy's the one with inconsistencies. Timothy's the one contradicting herself constantly. Melanie has never contradicted herself. Go through, look at her statements. Look at everything Melanie's ever done extensively. You will not find any inconsistencies because Melanie's the one that's been telling the truth. So one statement she said above all else is that I would never be intimate with someone without their absolute consent. Keyword there is absolute. Doesn't mean never said no. It means there was a very clear yes. So I think Timothy initiated it. I mean, she admitted to initiating everything else. She admitted to being the one who brought the game into it, who brought the handcuffs into it, all of that. You know, clearly Timothy was the one instigating things, but, you know, not just my point is that I hope that your takeaway is that you don't have to worry about supporting Melanie. She's genuinely a good person who is consistent. Timothy does not deserve hate. Leave the poor fuck alone. Just like, don't give her attention. That's what she wants. That's enabling because she's compromising her integrity in order to get attention. And if you give her attention, you're basically helping her compromise her integrity. In order to help her grow and heal, you have to give her what she needs instead of what she wants. So be kind to her, but don't give her attention, you know? That's the best way to treat any situation. Give people what they need instead of what they want. Because people don't always know what they want. People are kind of stupid, if I'm being honest. And again, just to clarify, that doesn't mean, because when I say give people what they need instead of what they want, my mind goes to people trying to like make decisions about your life and your body for you. But use your common sense. There's a line. Most of the time when you're giving someone what they need instead of what they want, it has to do more with your own boundaries, never violating their autonomy. So, you know, do with that what you will. I think I made sense. Thank you for watching. I apologize for this being as long as it was, but I know the types of videos people make on these topics are generally even longer than this, so hopefully this was still a shorter version of something that can be maybe just as useful, if not more useful. I don't know. I don't want to presume that I'm better than anybody else or say that it's more useful, but just whatever. It's my channel. Let me do what I want. Have a good rest of your day or night. Thank you very much for watching. By the way, I didn't promote myself last time. I might as well. I have every other Sunday, or sorry, every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on my other channel. I'll put a link to that channel in the description with the link to when the actual topic starts in this. I do a live stream from a series, not necessarily always a live stream, but a new episode of a series called Just Between Us, which is sort of like discussing political topics and whatnot. And on this channel, I have a series called Fallen World, which I do at 8 p.m. every Friday. And I do Fallen Worlds. It's sort of like a kind of brief educational covering of a topic. So the other channel is more casual discussion. This is more to the point and direct, the best way that I could categorize the difference between the two. So if you're interested in those shows, you can look at some of my previous episodes and see if it's interesting to you. I mean, if you liked this, you'll probably like that. They're pretty similar to this, just not about pop culture topics, although I have been talking about politics in recent episodes. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day or night. And I appreciate every like, comment, and subscription because I swear YouTube tries to hide likes sometimes. YouTube really tries to screw me over, and I don't know why. And I also have a stalker who leaves like 15 dislikes from 15 different accounts. So anything to combat that would be helpful. Thank you for watching.